So yeah, I think that now we are live. Let's just have a quick check. Whoever is watching this live stream, can you just quickly mention in the chat box if you can hear us and see us? Quickly. I'm just going to wait for a couple of
So,
minutes.
yeah, I think that now we are live. Let's just have a quick check.
Let's see. I think that people can hear us. Yes, perfect. So I'm getting the response that people can hear. Hi, Janvi. Hi, Akash. Hi, everyone. So, welcome everyone to this wonderful session today. We have quite stalwarts of CAT and MBA from the top B schools of India right here with us. We have Mridul, Durga, Vicky, Kaustubh, Nikhil. They are from some of the top B schools in India where people actually aspire to go to. मतलब अगर लोग कैट एग्जाम देते हैं तो द टॉप स्कूल्स दैट आर इन देयर माइंड आर द ब्लैकीज JBIMS एक्सेल एंड ऑल दोस एंड मैं यहाँ पे उन सब लोगों के साथ बैठा हूँ तो आज का हमारा कोर एम यही है कि वी कैन नो योर जर्नी एज टू हाउ यू क्रैक्ड योर बी स्कूल इंटरव्यूज हाउ यू क्रैक्ड द GDs और वैट राउंड्स ताकि जो लोग इस सेशन को देख रहे हैं वो इस सेशन में अंडरस्टैंड कर सकें कि व्हाट दे कैन एक्सपेक्ट इन नेक्स्ट 1 to 2 to 3 months because now that you're in a B school you also understand कि CAT क्लियर करना is just a half part. अगला मेजर पार्ट आता है क्लियरिंग द GDPI एंड वैट राउंड बिकॉज इवन 99% आइलर्स फेल टू गो इनटू द बी स्कूल्स अगर वो अपना GDPI एंड वैट को खराब कर देते हैं तो I wanted कि we can understand right from the people who have been there done that as to what to do how to do and what not to do especially ठीक है so again I would like to welcome everyone who is watching this stream right here uh, and let's get started. So first of all, let's start with the introductions, everyone. Why don't we start with you, Durga? Tell us something about yourself, your B school, and your journey.
Hi everyone, I'm Durga Wagle. Currently, I'm a second year PGDM student, business management student at XLRI Jamshedpur. Uh, Before that, so I have done my undergraduation from Christ University. I pursued BBA from there, post which I worked as a wealth relationship manager at ICICI Bank for about a year. And after that, I appeared for my CAT and my VAT examinations. I converted quite a few schools, and after out of that, I chose XLRI. And the journey here has been quite amazing, I must say. B school is a different world in itself. And I personally believe it deserves the hype that it gets. Uh, it teaches you a lot, it makes you a person that is ready for the corporate world. And currently, I have received a PPO from Nestle in marketing. I'll be joining Nestle next year, June. So, yeah, I'm excited for that.
Wonderful. I actually remember my time as a wealth manager in ICICI as well because I was interning with ICICI in the private banking itself. And when I was working full time with ICICI with the PPO, I was working in wealth and trade department only. So, been there. So, let's talk to the other one. Mridul, how about you? Tell us something about yourself. Tell our viewers something about yourself.
So, hi everyone, I'm a first year student at IIM Calcutta. Got done with my summer internship. I'd be interning at St. Gobain next year. And yeah, I have been following the same footsteps that you are currently, been in the same situation last year. I received all calls, Blackie, XLRI, IFT, name it, and I had all the calls. But then again, I was somewhat in a dream world that yes, I got a good percentile, so it's going to be a cakewalk, but it is not. So yes, I had A and B, but again, it was a hard reject. So it's not that a good percentile is a sure shot that you will be having a convert for the dream call that you have. So you need to prepare for that. So for that, we are here. Yeah.
So let me just mention one more thing to everyone who's viewing this video, this live session. So Mridul Tiwari got 99.98 percentile in CAT 2024, right?
Yeah.
So even with 99.98 percentile, you were not able to crack A and B
And yes.
just because you were not able to go through the GDPI and VAT round properly with the proper
Yeah.
preparation. So that actually bolsters the point how important this journey is going to be because CAT only gives you the calls. GDPI VAT is something that actually gets into the seat of a B school with the name tag and your roll number. Right. So yes, moving on to Vicky. Why don't we just start with you now?
Okay, so hello everyone. Myself Vicky Yadav, and currently I'm first year student at IIM Mumbai. So before that, I did my graduation in BSc Agriculture, and that's something very unique. And along with my MBA, I also run a YouTube channel where I create content around MBA preparation and B school, and help student and aspirants to join to get insights related to the B school. And for the same reason, I am here with you all and very excited to answer your queries and help you in your whole GDPI journey. Thank you.
Wonderful, Vicky. Wonderful. Welcome to this session. Now moving on to Kaustubh. कुछ बताइए अपने बारे में.
Hello everyone, my name is Kaustubh. I was born and brought up in Nagpur, but did my civil engineering from College of Engineering Pune. Post that, I have been into marketing for 42 months. I have been a marketing manager for 20 months, and after that, I took CAT and got into IIM Bangalore right now, and I have done with my SIP as well. I am into Wipro Consumer Care as a brand marketing intern right now. And as Durga said, I completely agree with her. It's a dream come true. We always go through the Three Idiots movie pictures over here and just I try to get nostalgia about what happened on that movie, and we'll do that, we'll do this. And apart from that, I am Bangalore's football team and cricket team as well. So I love to play a lot of sports, and it's actually worth it. Whatever you do, whatever you put your whole effort into, it actually works out well. Just you need to believe in yourself. That's what I will tell. And for that, we are here.
So I am Bangalore is more like a Three Idiots movie for you, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
for everyone else, it is just the journey, or I would say the dream of being the rancho of that Three Idiots movie.
yeah,
तो वो पानी की टंकी के पास जाके
yeah.
फोटोज वगैरह पक्का खिंचाई होंगी.
Yeah. I have a DP of that also
Oh,
multiple times.
that's great. Wonderful. Moving on to Nikhil. Hi, Nikhil. क्या हाल
Hello
है?
everyone.
Tell us
My
something about
name
you.
is Nikhil Jaiswal. So I have done graduation in BSc Agriculture too. Pretty much diverse background for a MBA. And after that, I am currently pursuing my first year MBA at JBIMS. And this journey was so much of like a roller coaster. And for you also, happy journey to you. You will be having so much fun ahead. That's all.
Great. So now moving on to the first question. जब कैट के रिजल्ट बाहर आए थे, how confident were you कि इंटरव्यू तो क्रैक हो जाएगा? एंड कौन से पॉइंट को आपने सबसे ज़्यादा अंडर एस्टिमेट किया था व्हेन एक्चुअली यू स्टार्टेड प्रिपेयरिंग द मोस्ट? एंड उसके बाद व्हाट वाज अ टर्निंग पॉइंट इन योर जर्नी व्हेन यू रियलाइज कि भाई इस चीज़ पे ज़्यादा फोकस करना चाहिए था या ये चीज़ ज़्यादा करनी चाहिए थी? सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद मृदुल बिकॉज आई थिंक दैट यू वुड बी द राइट पर्सन टू सेट द नोट ऑन दिस. सो व्हाट डिड यू अंडर एस्टिमेट द मोस्ट? हाउ कॉन्फिडेंट वर यू कि ये तो मैं अब क्रैक कर लूंगा? एंड व्हाट वाज द टर्निंग पॉइंट?
So, essentially, we think that we have got a great percentile, but doing the maths, you'll realize that 50% of the component is essentially GD and PI. So, with me, what happened was my first interview was of IIM Ahmedabad, and therein, when I entered, it was going smooth. They asked me maths. I told them yes. In a jiffy, I solved the problem they gave me. But then they slowly and slowly they dug up in some other areas. In like they asked me tell any of the tribes. So I just diverted that there is one of the news last year that in Manipur there is some like unrest going on. There's a fight between two tribes. So I was not able to name them on spot. So thinking on the feet is something which is very like underestimated. And you can be asked anything and you can be thrown off with that particular question. If suppose you are being asked economics, some of the other prof will ask you, let's say something else, finance altogether. So even though financial things, he might ask you something related to humanities or something related to organization behavior. So they can be of different nature, and I have like encountered my Lucknow interview was completely different to my Calcutta interview. In Calcutta, people say that they are going to ask you puzzles and all. I was not. I was just asked my work experience. On the contrary, my Lucknow interview was more on math based, more puzzle based interview. So it is very variable. People underestimate the variability, and that is something that you should not. And in like giving a lot of mocks essentially will help, because We think that for CAT only mocks is applicable, but it is not. For GDPI also, you need to have practice on writing, like essays. You need to write daily on each of the topics in particular time format. You need to give mocks. You need to like inculcate the feedback given by the mentor and then assimilate it and appear for the next mock. People think that the journey is still CAT only, but it is not. It is more than that. So yeah.
Yes, I think that's true that people get caught off guard a lot in their interviews. I remember that once while I was giving my interview for this for CAP interview it was, and because I did my undergrad from Guru Nanak Dev University, they asked me each and everything about Sikhism. Even though I'm not from Sikhism background, they asked me what are the 5 Ks, the 10 gurus, the background, the history, and everything. And that actually caught me off guard because, bhai, इससे तो कुछ लेना देना भी नहीं है मेरा. So it actually happens. So yeah, anyway, moving on to the Bangalore part. Kaustubh.
Yeah. Actually, when I started my interview prep, I was actually not that sure of like what will happen with me, because after 30,000 people who clear the cutoff, only 1,200 are called for IIM Bangalore interview. So I was in that part after 42 months of work ex. How will I steer through the academics and the interview part of the IMB journey? So in that part, yeah, I wasn't that sure like what will happen with me. But the one thing that I never underestimated was that I covered on all aspects of the interview. I guess iQuanta goes ahead with a beautifully crafted interview journey, that 9 parts from interview introduction and icebreaker to closing questions. That is what helped me. But what I underestimated is the application of concepts. So as you correctly mentioned, they go to various kinds of like that is what not related to us. So first of all, the first thing is they make us put into a blue ocean where we haven't experienced anything, and that's where they want us to see our real self and what we do in that situation. And that is what I underestimated a lot also. In my Coicode interview, I was asked a lot on economics and grilled on a lot on economics, whether I was and first of all I wasn't from marketing part, so still I was asked on a lot of economics. And the same thing, the next thing that underestimated a lot is using GK as a well part to apply that concepts, like using not just reading the theories but using that theories to apply on the news. That is what was asked a lot on for me in my Bangalore interview, also in my Coicode interview also. That is where people underestimate a lot. They just go through rote learning that this is the concept. Yeah, brand is known as this, brand definition is this, but what is brand exactly in this news, or how will you apply into the situation, is something I also underestimated a lot. But I learned through my interviews as I progressed towards. But hopefully I converted all and I got my dream school.
So can you give one example of one of those questions and how you answer that कि GK में आपने मैनेजमेंट का कॉन्सेप्ट किस तरह से डाला था?
So I it takes me back to my Coicode interview. So basically, uh, we were discussing on the trade deficit part. So now we all know that trade deficit is bad, or we have a slight negative inclination towards, yeah, trade deficit nahi hona chahiye. But I was asked why trade deficit is good and why for the countries it is beneficial, and which countries are that which are using it very perfectly well, and they are not they are okay with trade deficit. They want trade deficit. So I was caught off guard on that part, that I knew only that trade deficit is bad. So the one thing that helped me was learning a lot, going through a lot of news and using that concepts a lot. Like opinion expression is something iQuanta teaches a lot. That opinion formation, you need to form an opinion, a positive or negative opinion on that part. And using that exercise pretty well, actually makes us intuitive to such type of questions. So in that sense, I just took myself to like calm me down, take 2-3 seconds, and then I thought of what is trade deficit? That is import minus export. Now for trade deficit, import should be higher, export should be lower. Now which countries will import more and export less? So these are the island countries like Sri Lanka, Seychelles, where tourism is most predominant. Now, for them, trade deficit is good because they will import and use that import into tourism and improve their services. That is what I told the interview, and they got sort of surprised all, and at the same time satisfied also with my answer that yeah, this is the better application of these concepts. And I think that's where I landed my Koiko interview. So this is where we need to. The basic thing is analyzing it, putting breaking it to various parts, and then using those application in real world, that how this will help us to solve a particular problem. That is where we underestimate a lot as well. As we go into the interviews, we just focus on what we did and what we are going to do later. This is where it got helped me a lot in my interviews.
Hmm. So Durga, how about you? What do you think caught you off guard, and what did you underestimate the most after getting your CAT result?
Yeah, so actually, what happens is we spend months and years into just that one examination. We do not think what happens after that, right? We are just so fixated on getting that percentile. And then you get that percentile, and then suddenly you're like, okay, what next? Like, I have absolutely no idea where to begin, where to go, who do I run to? So I think the same thing happened with me. It was a clean slate. I had to start from scratch and build, the skills that are required for GDPI, VAT, everything. And what happens is everybody will tell you very scattered information. People will It is very important to be in an end-to-end program, as rightly said by Kostov. You need to break down your preparation into different probably modules or different stages that teaches you right from how to introduce yourself to covering GK to covering current affairs to having an opinion on everything to knowing your acads to knowing your work ex everything. Because as Mridul said, your interview will not depend on who you are. Your interview will depend upon what the panel is. Whatever the panel is great at, they will ask you questions on that, and you have to be somehow prepared with it, even though you have no idea what it is. You have never interacted with that field all your life. So what really helps in such situations is confidence, I feel. And that confidence only comes with practice. You will be put in situations you have no clue of, and you have to build something up on the spot. You have to have spontaneous thinking. And I think it is only built through lots of mocks and reviewing your answers, incorporating feedback. It does not happen overnight. So I think that.
Hmm. Hmm. I truly agree with that. So, Nikhil, let's quickly understand from you as well that how was your experience at JB and other the interviews that you have given, and after getting your CAT call, what did you underestimate the most about the GDPI?
So preparing for MBA exams and preparing for GDPI exams, GDPI, it's all together all different game. For exams, you have to sit down at a table and just learn about it. But for GDPI, you have to have practice mock session. You have to learn about what is going on, current affairs. You have to read newspaper. At my time, I used to go with that FinShot app. There was I used to see news. What are the current events going on? Even we had some groups in which we were discussing about the things that can be asked in interview. Like that, we were preparing. And also, it is most important that you should be knowing about yourself. Like where do you was like your example only about they ask about your college. So knowing about ourselves is also important thing. And other is just if you give mock interviews and just prepare, it will be very much sort out that we can crack it easily.
Yes, yes. I think understanding about yourself is very important before you go and present yourself in front of the panel, right?
Yeah.
So, Vicky, what do you have to say about this? About your experience? What did you underestimate the most?
Yeah. Okay, so honestly speaking, I wasn't very confident because I had never faced such kind of formal interviews before. So
Mhm.
GDPI preparation was a completely new experience for me, and speaking about the underestimated part, I personally underestimated the HR questions, and that was asked me in in most of the interviews, and especially the fact that they need to be prepared beforehand with clear stories and examples to show clarity during the actual interviews. For example, during my interviews of IMK, they asked me, tell me the biggest tragedy of your life and how you deal with that particular situation. And I just went blank with this question because I wasn't prepared for that. And just like that, I was the fresher, and they asked me why you want to do MBA just after graduation. So all these kind of HR questions, you should be prepared beforehand with your stories. As when you give a very structured answer with stories, this will have real meaningful impact. So that is the something that HR questions is a very, and not even just for the GDPI interviews. And well, you will realize that during your SIPs, these are the something that, and mostly in the consultancies, very structured answers is a very must needed. So that's the one thing that I faced during my period.
So, when students come to me and ask for advice, even when I was in my B school back in 23, 24, uh, a lot of students, a lot of juniors used to come to me to ask for different tips of going through the interviews and all. And I always used to say that steer the interview in your own way. For me, it is like leaving the breadcrumbs for the panelist to pick up and ask the questions what I want them to ask. Right. I remember that once when I was giving an interview for SIP, they asked me that, okay, out of all the roles that are given, which role are you more interested in? Now, I was quite less prepared as to what roles have they given out. I just gone through a little brief on that. तो मैंने क्या किया, my answer was well, और मुझे पता था कि if I answer कि मुझे ये वाला रोल अच्छा लगता है, they would ask me question on कि अच्छा इस रोल की डिटेल में बताओ क्या करना है. अब मुझे पता है that would have been a slippery slope for me. So what I did was that my answer was, well, I have gone through all the roles and I'm quite interested in knowing more about this specific role. Now इससे the things changed. They got to know कि मैं interested हूँ ये चीज़ जानने में, and then instead of he asking me questions on the role details, he was himself giving answers on the role details. तो इस तरह से I always used to leave the breadcrumbs for the panelists to ask the questions which I want them to ask, and I then give the answers. And this is how I've used to give the interview. So, Iskipper, what are your comments? Durga, what do you have to say about this? Have you used this kind of technique in your interviews?
I think that is the best way to, be an interviewee because the interview panel is there to throw you off, right? They are there to, ensure that you lose your confidence and that you are panicking. So what you should do is you have to play on your strengths. You should know what is that stands out in your personality, what is that stands out in your CV and in your academics probably, or some work experience or some extracurricular activities that you have. So you have, they may not know it beforehand, so you have to give them some sort of links. You have to answer, you have to structure your answers in a way, and especially that helps in tell me about yourself or tell me something, run me through your resume. So that is like a blanket question. So that is the best way, that is the best place to put those breadcrumbs, as you say, in, because it is not a directional question, and then you get to direct the interview in a particular manner.
Hmm. I agree with that. So, what do you have to say, Vicky, on this?
Okay, so definitely that's a very great skill. You have to drive your interview because if you let the panel drive the interview, then you will end up definitely, he will go into economics, he will go into current affair deep, and in the end, you will not be able to answer all. So you have to give some pinpoints, and for example, in your introduction, you can add some pinpoints so that the panel will be more curious about all of these things, and it will definitely it basically you will be able to drive your interview and let them ask whatever you already prepared for. So that's a very great skill if you are able to do that.
Hmm. So, Mridul, have you used this kind of skill in your interviews, and what do you suggest all the people who are watching this video right now and how they can use this skill?
So, like, contrary to some of the interviews that people have shared here, my Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta interview, they were not exactly how a conventional interview goes, like, introduce me about yourself and all that. That was not there. We are basically prescribed to fill a form. That form is submitted. They have all the details, and whatever they like about you or whatever they're interested, they ask that directly. So that is what I faced during my Ahmedabad interview as well as my Bangalore interview. They directly jumped upon my work experience and they linked it with the Trump's uh, that tariff thing, and then they asked me why, how is it going to affect your industry and all that. So it's not that they are just going to like give you a setup so that you can give like leave some hints and they ask you on that. But again, if you are in a situation wherein you are facing some doubt or you don't really have knowledge about it, you have a knowledge gap, but something pertaining to that, not exactly that, so you can take an educated guess, and for continuing the conversation you can say that also I know about this, so maybe they can then
Hmm.
talk about that issue that you are conveying to them. So from there at least you can have some conversation going on. Otherwise, they will take you to the deep waters, and it's going to be hard for you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's true. So, Nikhil, how was your experience in this part? Have you used this particular skill? How effective you think the skill is in terms of getting into the B schools, into the SIPs, and probably further on in the FPs as well?
It's important to be having like something that we are good at. We should be redirecting our their question towards the what we know. It's
Hmm.
important, but according to me, it's also important to be too honest, not to just to confuse them and just give the random question. And we can derive them to the topic we know. But if you don't know, we can say, sir, sorry, sir, I don't know. Or like they also know. If we try to confuse them now, they are expert of their field. They will know that, and they will not be encouraging for that. That's it.
Correct, correct. I totally agree with that. And Kaustubh, so we already have one person who experienced ABC interviews, and I'm pretty sure that you also experienced through the ABC interviews. What was your experience in this?
I actually agree with Mridul that it wasn't a conventional interview. And as compared to what I gave in Kozhikode and Indore, as Mridul said, we were directly asked about what our work X is, and they linked it to what they wanted to ask. So I would like to have three parts to it. One is you know completely about a stuff, somewhat, and second is you are in gray area. Third, you don't know. As
Hmm.
Nikhil said, when you don't know, you have to answer in an intelligent way also that I know about this, but I'll check on this, or I'm not able to recall it, but I'll get back to you on this. So that is a way you answer it. So there are multiple ways to answer when you don't know. But when you're in gray area, so one thing which I felt in ABC interviews is they love grit a lot. They want you to struggle through it. They want you to that they are, you want to fight and you want to reach to a solution. That is what they are testing when they throw us question that we don't know. Because throughout our MBA journey, also throughout a 1 year, the first year, we have seen a lot of ups and downs, and at each and every stage, we have been challenged a lot. And that is what they want in a interview's quality also, the grit. That is, you need to fight with them to reach a solution. And when you know, yeah, you can try, align with your along with your strengths. The first basic thing is the introduction part. There, you can put a lot of hints that this is where I'm strong on, this is where I'm strength on. This is what I held in me in my Kozhikode and Indore interview. But in my Indore interview also, they pushed me to a particular spot where I don't know anything. They asked me, I was a civil engineer. They asked me about, tell me how many feet is 1 yards. So I got blanked. So this is somewhat I learned 5 years ago. Now I have 42 months of working in marketing. How should I answer this? So I linked it to cricket.
Hmm.
So yeah, 22 yards is somewhere 22 feet is like 22 yards is a pitch is around to 22 feet or something. So I came out to 1.92 yards. So they got impressed in that way. So you have to be on your toes and link to what your strengths is, because they are linking to what their strengths are. You can always also link their topics to your strengths. This is what I followed in my Indore interview, and I actually tried to satisfy that answer on feet to yards as well.
So it was more like you transformed it into a guesstimate question
Yeah,
and solved it based upon that.
yeah.
Right. So, Vicky, what do you think? How many interviews or how frequent are the guesstimate questions that come in the entrance interviews for MBA?
Okay, so I think it will be rarely asked, and because these are generally students don't know about the guesstimates in
Hmm.
start and in B-school interviews. But if they ask and if you are able to answer, then it will be a very plus point because most of students are not able to answer it.
Hmm.
And because these are generally asked during the consultancy interviews during your B-school SIPs, so these are not very frequently asked. But if you are able to answer it, then it will be very good plus
Hmm.
point for you. So yeah.
All right. So, one question that I constantly get from a lot of students, and I'm pretty sure that whoever is watching this live stream right now would also agree, that they have a question that we have an X years of gap with in our profile. Do you think the gap year matters in terms of getting into B schools or not? So, what is the right answer based upon you? Let's start with Mridul. You कि गैप ईयर से कुछ फर्क पड़ता है कि नहीं पड़ता?
Uh, if you have a very reasonable justification for your gap, then it doesn't really matter. And in most of the interviews, for at least Blackie, I can say that they haven't really asked. Most of my companions who have a gap year, have taken UPSC, they haven't been asked. And even if they have been asked, they have said that they were completely dedicating their years for UPSC. So
Hmm.
your answer should justify why that gap is there.
Hmm.
And for me, I have work, so I was on in the safety net, so it was not an issue for me. Yeah.
So, what was the biggest gap year that any of your peers had in your batch? सबसे ज़्यादा गैप कितने साल का था?
So 4 years, I guess,
4 years.
4 to 5 years. I've seen people who have graduated in 2019.
Hmm.
They have joined right now. So one of my batchmates is 29 years old, and in my
Uh,
senior
I,
batch it is, yeah.
yeah,
So
one of my batchmates was 32 years old. So, Durga, आपके in Excel also कि what was the highest gap?
तो एक्सेल में तो आई हैव नॉट मेट टू मेनी पीपल विद ऐसे ज्यादा गैप years. Maximum is it is 1 or 2 years, either a year before JEE or NEET, or it
Hmm.
is a year before CAT. So it is usually taken for entrance exam preparation. And I personally do not know of anyone who has asked that question. I
Hmm.
myself had a gap year, and I appeared for IIM Lucknow, Kozhikode, Indore, Excel interviews, and I cracked all of them, but I was never asked this question. So
Hmm.
I think it uh, it does not speak louder than your personality is what I feel. Matlab, if you have more things to talk about, nobody really cares if you have those 1 or 2 extra years because you are sitting in that interview right now. I mean, that shows a lot of your caliber is, and I've never heard anybody being asked that question too. There is a lot of inhibition around it. Somehow people were
Hmm.
asking me to be, well prepared with that answer. I'm sure some people might have been asked it, but at least in my year, nobody was.
Hmm. Right from the beginning of when I have started working with iQuanta, there has not been a single day that I have not been asked questions, सर मेरे पास गैप ईयर है मैं किस तरह से क्लियर करूंगा. And I've been answering the same thing कि भाई आपकी प्रोफाइल के अंदर आपने जैसी परफॉर्मेंस की है आपका कैट का स्कोर योर परफॉर्मेंस इन इंटरव्यूज मैटर मोर. अगर वो आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं इन योर इंटरव्यू अबाउट योर गैप ईयर, just have a convincing answer. In my B school as well, I had people with 5 years, 6 years gap as well, जो यूपीएससी के लिए प्रिपेयर कर रहे थे या they were doing some business of their own or something like that. Yeah, they went through some medical conditions. So you need to have a good and justifiable answer. That's it. It does not matter. क्योंकि in my batch, we had people with the age group ranging between 19 to 32. मतलब जिनका अभी यूजी जस्ट क्लियर हुआ है वो भी जस्ट आए हैं और कॉलेज में आने के बाद उनका ट्रांसक्रिप्ट अभी आएगा बाहर. मतलब आई रिमेम्बर दैट फर्स्ट 3 मंथ्स में पीपल यूज टू गो बैक टू देयर कॉलेजेस टू कंप्लीट द फाइनल एग्जाम्स. कुछ कुछ तो ऐसे भी थे लोग. तो वहां से लेके देयर वाज सच अ डाइवर्सिफिकेशन इन दैट. ठीक है. समवन इज सेइंग दैट मृदुल इज अ मैथमेटिशियन. Is it? Chalo. Anyway, let's move on to next question. So someone is asking here, what are the suggestions to crack SPJMR profile call? So can anyone answer this? SPJMR की profile call किसी ने ली थी या how to crack that? Anyone can answer that?
I got a CAT-based call, but not a profile call.
So how do
Actually,
you, how was your experience in the CAT-based call?
so like my SP Gen was even before my IIM Ahmedabad interview, and it was entirely different. People were asked to first introduce themselves, and then each was asked a question pertaining to his own unique abilities, his domain, his work ex. And the first round was basically about yourself. The second was about a case which was given to us. And food farmer was very popular at that time. So the case was pertaining to pseudo healthy foods and whether they should be banned or there should be some regulations that should be posed on that. And how would you convince your child to not consume a lot of sugar? So that was a very unique thing pertaining to SPJ. It was a very good group discussion. So yeah, group.
That's I remember that at my group discussion of Shillong, we had a similar kind of a question. It was a case in which there's an international company which wants to start selling Darjeeling tea and they want to onboard Darjeeling farmers. But Darjeeling farmers were like, we don't want to disseminate from our own identity as the core people. So how do you think the company should go ahead with? So I think a lot of GDs would be on the basis of current cases or the business cases only. So anyway, so quickly moving to the next question. What's the biggest mistake you see the aspirants make in the GDs, PIs and VATs? And what actually works instead? So क्या है कॉमन मिस्टेक जो लोग करते हैं पीआईएस में जीडीज में एंड इवन while preparing as well so that people should keep in mind. So let's start with Nikhil. You,
Okay.
what is
So
the common mistake that everyone does in the GDs and PIs?
So talking about GD, in GDs, we don't have to argue with someone. If they have a different perspective, we can say that we have a different perspective from them, but we don't have to have like a fighter like situation. We just have give our point. We don't have to oppose their point specifically. And what's the main feature of the GD that we should include is example and the facts. If we have anything data or any facts, we know physical deficiency or anything that we can include, it's very much have effective for the GD. And even a good example will be have a good impression on the panel. So it's about GD from.
Hmm. All right. So, Kaustubh, what do you think are the pitfalls that people fall into while preparing and giving their GDs and PIs?
So, the first one which I'll say is waiting for the calls to come and not starting ahead early. The main thing is preparing for HR questions. The main thing about the whole GDPR thing is how well you know yourself. And people wait for the calls and then they directly jump to the crux of it, that what is my profile about, what is my work ex about. And they don't focus a lot on HR questions. That is where the complete story comes out. And that is where a clarity of purpose that everyone is looking out for in the GDPI is something missed. So I will suggest everyone to start early. Uh, that is something I did. I started right from December 15th itself. And I was my base HR questions were prepared. And there is a good opportunity when IIM Code releases its forms earlier. There you have to fill your HR questions up also. So people also wait for that I need to wait for IIM Code calls to come out. But you have only 2 days then to prepare for your HR question. Then everything gets messed up. That is something I will I'll suggest that start early. This is the right time, and you can clearly make your story crisp and to the point that is needed for the interview.
So the core crux of your answer is that everyone who's watching this live, start early. Do not wait for your calls to come out, because if you will wait for them, you're already left behind from hundreds of people who have already started preparing. While by the time you start getting the calls, people would already have prepared their HR-based questions, especially. Right?
Even
Great.
to let you know, IIM Lucknow doesn't give a surprise interview call. My interview call, I got a call on 15th Jan. I was waiting for the interview call. My next interview call was 20th Jan in three
Oh,
days. So then people can get caught off guard, people can get anxious, people get nervous, and this is somewhere half of the competition gets out, because in the end they're also selecting only 500 people, 500 to 400
right.
odd people.
Yeah, so that means that you got an email on around 15th of Jan and you were having an interview on
20th of Jan.
20th of Jan. So just 5 days. And if you had waited to prepare for the GDPIs, then तो हो
Underconfident.
जाता ठीक है. विकी, tell us कि क्या है वो pitfalls जहाँ पे लोग fall कर जाते हैं when we talk about preparing for GDs, preparing for PIs, preparing for VAT, and लोग किस चीज़ में सबसे ज़्यादा problem उनको होती है बाद में आगे चल के.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so adding to that, I want to say that be prepared with your academic background, because it's very extremely important, as you already spent 3 to 4 years in your graduation, and being unable to explain every basic or even very basic concept can be a very big red flag in during an interview, because panels expect that if you truly understood your academic or decision, you would be able to justify them clearly. And even they will assume that if you are not able to get lot of from your graduation, then you will not be able to take out maximum from your MBA also. And for the workex guys, they think like if you have 2 to 3 years or more than that experience, then they suppose that they will not going to ask related to their graduation or their graduation degree, but that's not the case. I in my many peers also told me that even they had the 4 years plus work ex and they still asked about related to their graduation and BTech related field. So please be prepared with your academic background, as if you're not able to answer any basic concept, then it will be a very big red flag and that can be a blunder in for your interview.
Hmm.
So be
I
prepared
think
with,
that
yeah.
I would say ये गलती मैंने भी की हुई है. Before giving IIM interview for my Shillong call, I already had around 3.5 years का work ex था मेरे पास पहले से ही, and I had not even touched my ACADS. So my 80% of interview was very smooth. It was around GK. I was prepared with that. It was around domain knowledge, prepared with that. WorkX, prepared with that. They even pushed some guesstimates on me. I was prepared for that also. But then they asked me two questions from 12th standard mathematics. And I was not able to answer that. और उसमें फिर बैंड बज गई. तो आई कैन एक्चुअली एग्री विद दैट कि भाई ये वाली गलती कि तुम लोग मत करना, जो भी लोग ये देख रहे हैं सेशन को. एंड मृदुल, व्हाट डू यू हैव टू से अबाउट दिस, द पिटफॉल्स?
Pitfalls is underestimating the GDPI preparation, not giving enough mocks. Like people should prepare it akin to CAT because your MBA journey is like divided into two halves. One is your CAT for which you dedicate one entire year, but for here the returns is much higher. At least if you focus for this entire month and upcoming January, because the calls will just start coming in from the first week of Feb itself. 10 days prior to my Ahmedabad's interview was the day I got the call. So if I waited for that, then also it would have been even a more disastrous interview, I would say. So it's better to prepare from now onwards, and people are not realizing this importance. They are waiting for calls. Everyone is like searching for all the call predictors and asking me personally whether I will get this call or not. I'm just advising everyone who is like watching this stream, please start preparing from now. There's no logic to assess which calls you will be getting or not because like some of the portions of the interview is common in all the interviews and the structure of preparation is also similar. Maybe you will have variability while you are giving the interview, but it is essential that you start from now. So starting early is starting having a competitive edge as of now.
So the crux of this answer is that starting early, starting ideally,
Yes.
right? I understand that. So let's move from GDPIs to VAT, written ability test. तो किस किस का written ability test हुआ था? So सबका हुआ था, JBIMS में भी हुआ था. तो tell us how different it is from just writing your opinion or just writing the paragraphs and essays that you used to write in your colleges and schools to writing written ability test. उसमें किस किस चीज़ का आपको ध्यान रखना पड़ा था? What kind of structure you used in that particular thing? So Kaustubh, let's start from you. कैसा गया था आपका written ability test and क्या क्या किया था?
Okay. So that I would say is not just about opinion writing. It's about building a strong, clear logic. It's like you're tested on three fronts in CAT throughout process. One is your verbal ability where you read, the VAT is where you write, and interview is where you speak. So before speaking, you are tested on the writing. So what an interviewer or what an IM is looking forward is how can you structure your thoughts, starting in a storytelling fashion, not just putting out your opinions put forth. And the topics can vary from social, mostly basis on socio-economic aspects, like what will happen in society if this happens, or what will happen if influencer marketing comes in and if people will react or not. In this type of fashion, we have to put forth some opinions, a positive or negative, but you have to base your reasoning on evidence. That is where key picture lies in anecdote, evidence based reasoning, and completely structuring a flow just like a VRC passage is what they are looking forward. And the main thing which people miss out on is grammatical mistake. People think this is what they won't check on the spellings, they won't check on grammar, but this is where the whole writing skill is tested. So this is where you need to like, even if you have read the A1 essays, follow that structure, follow the VRC passage that you have solved throughout your mocks. This is where they are expecting that this is the fashion you will write it. It'll have a storytelling approach. There will be a evidence based and there will be a proper conclusion, providing an opinion that you support. There is no wrong or right opinion, but this is what MBA teaches you. You have to take a particular opinion on a particular stance, because as a manager, you have to make a decisions. And that is what they're testing out of their VAT also. Provide decisions and provide decision with a evidence-based writing. So for that, obviously, you have to go through all the GK and current affairs. This is where GK and current affairs knowledge helps you, and your practical applications of all the things that I told earlier into those VAT.
So काफी लोग कंफ्यूज रहते हैं कि if VAT is handwritten test or is it typing test, तो क्या रहता है इसमें?
It's compulsory handwritten.
इसका
All my interviews were handwritten.
एंड
No
जिन लोगों
typing,
की
nothing.
हैंडराइटिंग खराब होती है वो लोग क्या करें?
They have to they have to practice a lot on writing VATs.
तो
So
आप में से किस किस की हैंडराइटिंग खराब है? Why I am assuming that Mridul has a bad handwriting and Kaustubh has a bad handwriting.
yeah, I practice a lot. I practice like 2 VATs a day. Like in iQuanta, we used to have sessions at every night, like 10 to 11. कि 10 बजे आ जाओ, 2 VAT खत्म करते हैं, we'll take feedback, and then next day. So we always had a list of 50 to 60 VAT topics. And as soon as the interview goes on, like 15 Jan, as I told you, 20th Jan, IIM Lucknow's releases calls, we start getting the VAT topics also, what were asked, because the fellow colleagues are going and giving the VAT also. So we get a taste of it, at how it's going to be structuring. So this is where our GK lectures also help, that how will you put this evidence there, and how will you use that anecdote here so that it makes sense. The whole VAT makes sense. So there's a key thing which I cracked was there is a particular anecdote, a particular quote that can be fixed into every VAT. So that is something you have to remember, that this is code is something I can use in every situation. So so that is something you have to also figure out. And this figure you'll figure out once you practice VAT every day with your mentor. That will be done.
So even VATKA, we are going to start that particular YouTube Facebook wala practice from tomorrow onwards. कि एक topic जाएगा and everyone will put on their handwritten notes over there, and we all, like us six and other mentors out there, will be evaluating those particular VATs and writing the answers कि क्या सही है क्या नहीं है. So everyone who's watching the stream, you will be actually getting evaluated by who have actually been there and done that. So, Mridul, how was your VATCA experience? What do you think is very important in VAT and what is not?
So I think Costo might agree that any of the topics that were given in the WAT or for ABCLK, any of the interviews, it was very recent topic. So, like one of my prep mates got a topic on Women's Day about something related to fashion show, whether it is liberating for women or not. And one in my Calcutta interview, I was on the day of interview, I was given the topic of something related to uh, controversial, like reality shows getting banned. So it was surrounded on that Ranveer Alabadia controversy on India's Got Talent. So
Hmm.
things are very like recent. So it's very important that you update yourself with the news. One in the Bangalore interview, it was about freebies, whether they are right or not. So it was very like at that time it was very on news, so it was trending. So it's very important that you go through your newspapers at least. Maybe there's a very high possibility that the professor is reading the newspaper on that day, and he might ask you that question also pertaining to whatever you have written in your in your interview as well. So
Correct.
this can also happen.
Correct. And even we are sharing the daily newspapers with all the students out there, not just the paid GDPI students, but everyone who's part of our particular groups, ताकि हर रोज उनकी एक पढ़ने की हैबिट भी बन जाए. तो I think that is going to help you out a lot. So Nikhil, what is your answer on this? VAT में क्या करना चाहिए क्या नहीं करना चाहिए?
Forward, there are three topics that come. The first one is general one, like anything, and the second will be can be GK question, like general awareness, what is going on currently, and the third, which I find most hard about, was abstract topic. In abstract topic we have to connect it to something that the problem in real life we have, like related to business. We have to connect the dots to the business, and then make sense of it. So making it is not a hard part, but it take practice. You have to practice a lot. You have to practice all the topics. There are some topics also which are majorly asked repetitively, you can go for that, and that's how you can practice about it.
So, what was the weirdest abstract topic which you have gotten till now? Be it in terms of interview or GD or PI or VAT, anything. What was the most abstract topic?
For GD, I had once got black, just black as a word.
So, black just as a topic.
Yeah.
Nice. Durga, what was the most weird abstract topic which you have ever come across?
It's similar to Nikhil's. So mine was orange is the new black. Now you could relate it to whatever you wanted to. And some people came up with such amazing theories. They related it to Yogi Adityanath and they came up with some very interesting
Yogi Adityanath being Men in
arguments.
the Black.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, like it, so it really tests your creativity. It really depends on, so
So,
that is actually a
how
very
you
important
interpret it.
skill. It's a very important skill in GDs to understand what the interviewer is expecting of you in that particular topic. Like for example, when in an abstract topic, they want more of creativity. They want to see, your imagination and what you can think. If it's a very social based topic, then they want you to take a stance. They want you to probably cite examples of what is happening. So you have to understand and take a sense of the room and then probably present your arguments.
Hmm. That's quite interesting. And Kaustav, what is the most interesting or weird abstract topic that you have come across?
I think most of the weird topics are around colors only. So I was I received red and blue. So just write about red and blue. So people took perspectives.
Hmm.
They went for what a color feels like. Red is for warmth and blue is for peace.
Hmm.
Some also took for they connected with the geopolitical issue. So it's a great way for you to tell the interviewer also that yeah, you are well prepared. You are well versed with your GK, and then you can have your geopolitical skills or geopolitical knowledge included in that these types of abstract
Hmm.
topics as well. So this is where they like if everyone will agree, there is a component called class participation in MBAs where you will be asked like these questions, or so you'll be cold called and you'll be having marks on this. So this is where
ठीक है, कौन करता है?
it happens in some courses where you have to answer, and this is where the real testing happens in abstract topics, where how fast you can come up with an answer. And this is the in MBA world we call it globe. So that's what we do every day for basically. So this is the abstract is, as Durga said, this is where your creativity is tested, and how fast can you come up with your answers, and how can you connect your knowledge with your topic is something they are testing, right?
Correct. Vicky, what is the most abstract topic that you have come across?
Okay, so in one of the company's interview, they just said the women word, and then we were like looking at their face and we were waiting for the next words, and they didn't say that that's it. So yeah, that was a very interesting discussion after that, and some people took into different aspect, business aspect, and then that was a very weird topic.
Quite
Yeah.
decent. And Mridul, what was your most weird abstract topic that has
There
come
was
through?
no weird abstract topic that I encountered, luckily, but one of the topics that was eye-catching for me was in my Lucknow WAT, which was about whether high cost fees of MBA is justified or not. So, so I think they made up the topic on the spot and they decided to give it to all the aspirants there. So
That's
yeah.
nice. I remember that on my last day of my MBA, I posted a picture of the B school's gate and wrote, "Thank you, MBA. You were expensive." Full stop. So the various topics that I have come across or I have given forth to the people include one, number one, it is black and white, because obviously colors तो होते ही हैं. And black and white का there are multiple interpretations. You can talk it in terms of yin yang. You can talk it in terms of truth and lie, truth and lie. You can talk in terms of dharma adharm. You can talk in terms of Western and Indian culture, where Western culture has black as something for the sad occasions and white for happy occasions. But in our culture, white is for the sad occasions and black is usually in the parties and all those things. So that was one topic that I put out mostly. One topic which came to me interestingly just a few days back was a pink flag on a blue temple. That was quite an interesting topic that threw me off guard, and it was quite interesting. So yeah, these are some of the topics that. So everyone who's watching this stream, just understand that you could be thrown off with these particular topics as well, and it's very important to understand how to have different kinds of interpretations for each and everything out there. There is no set rule, there is no set path that is to be followed, but a way, a particular thought process that is to be used to interpret what is being thrown at you. So that is something that this time we are covering in our GDPI course as well, how to answer the abstract topics. So anyway, so moving ahead, tell me one thing, that once you joined your B schools, did the GDPI prep help you beyond in terms of your class discussions, in terms of your confidence and all those things? Let's start with you, Mridul. Someone is saying
So,
in the chat box, the black stands for my future.
so yes, definitely. During your class participations, it helps you to open a lot in front of your peers, in front of the teacher. From that shyness, from that closed bubble, you get to open. Are able to communicate your thoughts clearly. You are able to display what you have thought, what you are as a personality. So that is like, it's not just your preparation for the GDPI, but it helps you in your SIP as well. It helps you overall to like bond with others as well. I feel communication is something that is part and parcel of life, and GDPI helps you to bolster it further. Yeah.
All right. And Vicky, what do you have to say about this? Does GDPI help you beyond your entrance or not?
Yeah, definitely it helps a lot, and basically it improved my clarity of thoughts and confidence, which reflected in my class discussions, and more importantly when I went for my summer internship placement, especially in structuring answers, communicating clearly, and handling pressure. And as rightly Mridul mentioned, that it will also help you in networking, and which is also very important part of your B school journey. So definitely it's gonna help you for the longer run.
Hmm. Correct, correct.
Yeah.
Durga, what do you have to say about this?
I think I have very similar views. It's not just about getting into a B school. One of the main reasons you get into a B school is good placements, I feel. And the entire placement process is structured around PI and GDs. So I think this skill is going to help you sail through not just this getting into B school journey, but also getting into a good company. And then I think interviews is a part of your corporate journey, anyways. You're always going to give interviews all your life. So it's a great skill to learn. And it only gets better with practice. So I think, yeah, it's going to help you a lot.
So, Nikhil, can you give an instance of where you use your GDPI skills in your class in JB?
So just after you get into like college, you have to go for SIP and even committee selection. There are different committees there we have
That's
to
what I
go.
wanted to get to. Yes.
Yeah. And for every committee, we have to give interview. And that interview, like if we have done the GDPI process, help us in the committee selection process also. And even in internship, it all helped me. It was a great experience also.
Hmm. So, Kaustav, which CNC are you part of?
So I'm part of two clubs. One is the MASH, which is the marketing club of IIM Bangalore, and second is Anveshan, which is a trek club of IIM Bangalore. So yeah, as my colleagues mentioned, they do help in like
Hmm.
after you join an MBA, you have to give interviews continuously for clubs, for SIPs, for taking part in fest. But beyond that, I feel it increases awareness. That is a skill, like people don't feel confused after doing a GDPR prep. When they come into the college, they feel now I know what I want to do. I know where I want to go. Like this is the club that I want to join. This is the club that I don't want to join. Even if you don't know, actually it lets you know that what you don't want to do. This is where GDPR helped me a lot in terms of knowing what I don't want to know. And I am thankful for that prep also. It's a revelation journey for preparing a GDPR. You know a lot about yourself.
Correct, correct. I understand. And I think that sometimes these CNC interviews are more grilling than your entrance interviews, because seniors just want to take a bite of you and kill you just because you're a junior to them. That I understand. So yeah, anyway. Just before closing, just two more questions. One mistake what aspirants should stop making in their GDPI preparations. That's one question. Especially the high percentilers. So जब हम बोलते हैं कि 98 99 परसेंटाइल आ गया, people think कि चलो अब तो अपने लाइफ सेट है, हमारा तो इंटरव्यू क्लियर हो जाएगा इजीली. ठीक है. तो कौन सी ऐसी एक मिस्टेक है जो उनको रोकनी चाहिए, जो उनको नहीं करनी चाहिए while they are preparing? So let's start with you, Vicky.
Yeah. Okay, so I think the one common mistake that most of high percentilers make is like they think like the high CAT score will automatically translate into a good GDPI performance, and that's not the case. We all know that, and they sometimes under prepare HR questions and or over focus on knowledge only. While if we look at the interviews, they actually test more clarity and self awareness and communication. So treating GDPI as a very separate thing, because yeah, you scored well in the CAT exam, that's a very separate thing, and you should equally give the importance to this particular phase of GDPI preparation. As already mentioned, that this particular phase will give you higher ROI. So and that particular phase will gonna make a bigger difference. So treat is as much equally important as possible, so that your all efforts will be worth it.
Right. I guess everyone will agree upon what he's saying that uh, you need to stop underestimating the GDPI because it is as important as CAT, if not more important, because CAT के ऊपर percentile तो मिल जाएगा based upon the number of people. But percentile is subject to the number of people giving CAT. However, GDPI का final convert is subject to the number of seats that a college wants to give out. So उस पे तो something that goes on a different variable at a different level, right? So someone is asking in the chat box कि मृदुल and Kaustubh, can you both tell us कि कितना percentile चाहिए होता है IIM ABC के calls आने के लिए? बहुत कॉमन क्वेश्चन है, आता होगा आप सबको. तो क्या लगता है कितना परसेंटाइल चाहिए, जस्ट टू टेल एवरीवन?
Okay, I'll go. This is the first mistake that most of the 99 percentiles also do. Is every college is like a unique person. They have different ways to test people. And IIM Bangalore focuses on WorkX, and other college like IIM A or C focus on not that on WorkX. So it depends what percentile you need to have. You can get call on 97 also. You can not get call on 99.9 also. Depends on multiple factors. For that, you have to go to their website and check the criteria for selecting them. I have
Right.
seen people having 96 percentile also get into IIM Bangalore, but having a good WorkX. So just forget about your CAT percentile now. Once you go ahead with from your CAT, it's done. No one will ask you your CAT percentile in the interview also, not even in the college also.
दैट्स ट्रू. 2 साल में किसी ने नहीं पूछा. Even I'll tell you that even in the FPs as well, no one is going to ask you about your percentile. And even hardly 10% of the total companies that come out for the SIPs and FPs, they ask for 10, 12 and UG के marks. Hardly 10 से 20% companies होंगी, not more than that. तो वो भी काफ़ी लोगों को प्रॉब्लम होती है कि हम IIM में तो चले गए बट हमारा बैकग्राउंड बहुत ख़राब है, प्लेसमेंट मिलेगा कि नहीं मिलेगा. तो आई थिंक दिस आंसर्स दैट एज वेल. सो मृदुल, व्हाट इज योर टेक फॉर कैलकाटा?
Like Calcutta does not really differentiate between engineers, non-engineers for giving the pre-PI call. So for a general candidate, I'd say it is for male, it is around 99.75. So
Hmm.
around that is the figure that is going to get you the call. But then again, GDPI, you have to do that. You can't escape that. So because I've seen people even with 99.9596, they have tanked Ahmedabad, Calcutta, Bangalore. They have tanked even Indore as well. Some are sitting in IFT. Some are. I'm not denying that IFT is not a like bad call. I'm saying that simply that even at this percentile, if you're not able to crack your dream call, then there was some luck in it. So
Hmm. I get it. So just before closing this particular stream, let's have some closing remarks from you for all the aspirants who are going out for, who are probably going to get their B school calls in next 10 days. It's already 30 December, and I'm pretty sure by 10th of January, a lot of students and a lot of B schools would start giving out the calls. So, what is your closing message to all those people who are out there? Let's start with Durga. You.
I just want to tell everyone that they have worked really, really hard to get this percentile. So don't let it go in vain. It's just one last mile. Just have to give it your best shot and do not underestimate this preparation. And one very important thing, just in case some of your interviews don't go as you wish for them to go, still keep your temperament and give your best shot to the remaining ones. Because very often what happens is, your first interview does not go as planned. Like, for example, Bridal said, his first interview was IIM Ahmedabad, and then it did not go as planned. But then he did great at IMC, and then he cracked that. But many people lose their temperament and they cannot do well. So I think just be confident, and I think you'll sail through. All the best.
Great, wonderful. Nikhil, what are your closing remarks?
So focusing on what we can control, like what we are control of, we can give mocks, we can study whatever the requirements are up to date with the current affairs. We can control this thing, but the non-controllable things like the shortlist and all that, we can't control them. We don't have to bother about them, and just to be enjoy all these things. You will remember all this thing in lifetime. This thing, this 1 month will give you a good ROI for lifetime.
That's wonderful. These are quite some great words. Vicky, what do you have to say?
Okay, so firstly, I want to congratulate you all for reaching your first checkpoint. But remember one thing, race isn't over yet. So get back to track again. Give your best so that in future you will not regret that मुझे परसेंटाइल आ गया था बट मुझे मेरा ड्रीम बी स्कूल नहीं मिला. So give your maximum effort, leave the rest on God. So definitely best of luck. अच्छा ही होने वाला है.
Great. Mridul,
Uh, like everyone has pretty much summarized what I wanted to say, but I would say that once you get going through the interview season, you will encounter many interviews. I would say that keep track of everything, make transcripts, and revise the questions which you weren't able to crack. And maybe you can have some contingency plans for the next interview. So suppose I was asked something related to my academics, I didn't know that at that point of time, but it's my responsibility that before my next interview is scheduled, at least whatever my gaps were there, I cover that. So document everything, keep a folder, make it organized. It's very important that you make it very structured and keep it clean. Yeah, that's for me.
good. That's very important. Kaustubh, what are your remarks?
So I will just advise one thing. The whole system is created from a perspective to make you tire out. And that is what they all are testing, the grit, the perseverance and the effort that you are willing to take until your last interview. And many people lose hopes in the between also, as rightly pointed out by my colleagues. So the main thing is just keep on putting your effort, be persistently consistent in your efforts, and go on and you will achieve dream. That's only one interview call away. That's what I told myself, and I landed up, and I'm sure that you will also land up myself.
So I think that we can probably sum up by saying that you're just one interview call away from your dream. And if everyone just goes with this particular formula in mind, ये सबके लिए बहुत बढ़िया रहेगा, है ना? एक छोटा सा टिप जो मैं काफ़ी लोगों को दूंगा विच एक्चुअली वर्क फॉर मी वाज कि कैट के रिजल्ट के बाद इस टाइम पे काफ़ी सारे कॉलेजेस के फॉर्म्स खुलते हैं विच माइट नॉट बी एज गुड फॉर योर परसेंटाइल. ठीक है, मतलब नॉट एज गुड फॉर योर परसेंटाइल, बट वो फॉर्म्स भरो और उनके इंटरव्यूज दो, बिकॉज अलॉन्ग विद द मॉक इंटरव्यूज दैट यू आर गिविंग विद योर मेंटर्स, वो वहाँ पे आपको प्रॉपर एक्चुअल पैनलिस्ट मिलेंगे जो आपका इंटरव्यू लेंगे. तो दे विल बी टेकिंग इंटरव्यू फ्रॉम पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ देयर ओन एक्सपीरियंस इन एवरीथिंग. तुम उसे एज ए मॉक इंटरव्यू की तरह लेकर चलो एंड तुम्हारी प्रैक्टिस भी हो जाएगी बिफोर यू गिव योर इंटरव्यू. आई रिमेंबर दैट बिफोर आई हैड थ्री फोर इंटरव्यूज फ्रॉम गुड कॉलेजेस. तो कुछ उसमें से ऑनलाइन इंटरव्यूज थे, कुछ उसमें से ऑफलाइन इंटरव्यूज थे. तो आई स्ट्रेटेजिकली filled the forms for particular colleges. I'll not take the names, obviously. जिनमें से कुछ का इंटरव्यू ऑफलाइन था और कुछ का इंटरव्यू ऑनलाइन था, ताकि मेरे वो वाले इंटरव्यूज पहले हो जाएं ताकि मेरी उससे प्रॉपर प्रैक्टिस हो जाए. तो इट एक्चुअली हेल्प मी आउट फॉर द पैनल एज वेल. So we'll take just 2 more minutes and I'll open the chat for questions if there are any. And if there are not, then we can just close the session. Okay. So I'll just monitor the chat and see if there are any questions. Uh, बाकी उसके बाद then we are just quickly going to close the session. And first of all, I'd like to thank you all for taking out time. I know B schools काफ़ी hectic हो सकते हैं. दिसंबर है तो इस टाइम पे तो either it would be your fourth sem starting, third sem starting और sixth sem starting हो रहा होगा आपका इस टाइम पे. एंड काफ़ी लोगों की प्लेसमेंट्स वगैरह चल रहे हैं, काफ़ी चीज़ें चल रही होती हैं. अभी तो न्यू ईयर के लिए आधे लोग तो घर गए होंगे. आई रिमेंबर दैट आफ्टर माई फर्स्ट ईयर, नहीं हाँ सेकेंड ईयर में न्यू ईयर पे आई वॉज इन गोवा. फर्स्ट ईयर में आई वॉज समवेयर एल्स. तो ये सब तो चलता ही रहता है. सो देर इज वन क्वेश्चन. आई एम प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर कैट 26 एंड माई GDPI विल बी इन 27. इज दिस एनफ टाइम टू प्रिपेयर? हाँ यार, मतलब कि इफ़ यू आर स्टार्टिंग योर प्रिपरेशन राइट नाउ फॉर योर कैट 26, इट इज़ द आइडियल टाइम टू स्टार्ट प्रिपरेशन, बिकॉज अगले 4-6 महीने में complete your whole syllabus for once, then revise it again, then revise it again. At least 3-4 बार revise करो. And for example, Mridul was also part of our CAT full course. So he has been through the whole journey. 99.98 लेके आए हैं. He's been in IIM Calcutta. He gave इतना सारा time. तो I think it is the right time to start preparing and not wait for it. So next is how to perfectly pitch in our point in GDs. GDs में अपने point को रखने का अच्छा तरीका क्या है, especially if it is a fish market? Tell us, anyone.
So I'll go. So there are two types, like if it's a marketing GD or if the topic is marketing. So there will be a fish market, or you can expect to be a fish market. So there you have to sense a 1 second pause or a point 5 second pause to enter the floor. That is how you enter. And in mostly if your topic is more of a socio-economic point, then you have to give chance to other person to speak. And if you are not able to speak, that's their loss because they are not and allowing the other perspectives to come into the play. So it depends on which type of topic you have been given. But the general answer is listen for that 1 second pause where you can enter and you can enter that way.
Yes, Mridul, you wanted to say something in this part?
Yeah. So, adding on to that, I would say that you may not even get that pause. So sometimes once you know, you have to realize that the candidate who is speaking, if he lowers down his voice, you need to like deepen your voice and you need to somehow shout a little so that you can continue from there. It happens. It is now there's no point of ethicality if there is a fish market in there. You have to pitch in your points and you have to take multiple entries. That is how it is done. Sometimes that approach can also impact on your panel as in that sometimes it happens that your panel may entirely get scrapped out. So this is a witness, but you have to do that. If you are not able to communicate your point across the group, then you won't really have a chance to participate. And one best thing is you can do is either you can conclude or you can introduce the topic really well. That's the low hanging fruit, and you can catch up to that. So then also if you have points, you can follow up with the discussion. And I would say that just don't detrack your discussion, make it align. And if it is not aligned, then you can be the person who can align the discussion. This can also be one of the points where you can enter into the discussion.
So, one of the points that I would like to add here is your intonations, more like in lines to what Mridul said only. If you want to enter, have a little higher pitch in terms of entering. So, if someone is speaking something like that, it should work like that and that. So, my point here is this and that. So, I started with a little higher pitch. I entered so that everyone knows that I'm trying to speak something. I interrupt someone. The moment that the other person stops for just a second to hear what the other person is saying or just to get disturbed with that particular interruption, you start smoothly with it because now you have made a space for yourself. So there is one question. I have 58 months of experience till 31st July. Would it be difficult to justify so much experience in interviews? Yeah, anyone?
I think Kaustubh is the one having the closest work experience. Yeah, you can go on.
दोस्तों कितना work था?
I have 42 months of work ex in marketing, but I have few friends in my batch itself who have 60 months of work ex. So it doesn't matter. Like it matters if you the point the IIMs or interviews focus on how have you developed yourself through across the journey. What and the main thing is how have you incrementally innovated yourself throughout the journey. If the 60 months of work ex is really necessary, even if you feel it's necessary for you to do an MBA, if you have that clarity of purpose of doing that MBA after this 60 months of work ex, if you are able to uh, give the right answer to it and you are true to yourself in that perspective, then yeah, it's very easy for us to get enter into IMB as well. And IMB love workex people. Like we have 10 points if you get 36 plus months of workex. So even 70 months workex people are also welcome. Even 36 months people are workex people are also welcome. It's the way you show your clarity of purpose, like why you want to do it right now. Obviously, the first question will be asked that why don't you do a EPGP or why don't you do executive? So in my case, I answered I want that holistic development perspective into my picture and that time so that I can ruminate the concept that I've learned and then apply it to my existing job knowledge that will help me. And that's where they got satisfied on that answer as well.
Hmm. Just to add on to this point, before going for the MBA interviews and all, I had 3 years of full-time work experience and 5 years of part-time work experience while I was into teaching. So teaching को full-time work experience नहीं count करते if you are teaching in school or something. So in total, I had 8 years of work ex before going for MBA, and I had to justify that as well. But 8 years was again along with my 5 years was along with my graduation while it was going on. तो थोड़ा उसमें भी जस्टिफिकेशन में आई वॉज ग्रिल्ड अलॉट कि भाई वंस यू गेट इन टू अ बी स्कूल यू विल बी सिटिंग विद द पीपल जिनके पास या तो ज़ीरो वर्क एक्स है या तो आपके जितना ही फुल टाइम वर्क एक्स हो सकता है बट दे डू नॉट हैव दैट काइंड ऑफ वर्क एक्स राइट फ्रॉम द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द टाइम लाइक आई स्टार्टेड माई पार्ट टाइम वर्क व्हेन आई वाज हार्डली 17 18 years old 16 17 old तो उसके बाद से ही मैंने स्टार्टेड तो उसको भी इट्स ऑल अबाउट हाउ यू जस्टिफाई योर सेल्फ what you have learned in past those years and how you have built your profile which will be a valuable input for the cohort of that particular B school. It matters the most, right? So yeah, I think these are all the questions. I think we have answered all. First of all, thank you everyone for your time. I know B schools काफी लोग मैं देख रहा हूँ hostels में बैठे हुए हैं. It got I got reminded of my hostel as well. So yeah, anyway, it was a great discussion. I'll now end the stream. And yes, just give me a second. Chalo, stream finished.